Right, this is it. The final push. Now all we have to do is get these back in there again. It sounds simple, but I can tell you, as you're about to find out, it is not simple. Right, we'll take the paper out of the holes. And have a long hard think about this, because that's what it's going to take to get this in. Everything always seems to get in the road no matter what you do. If I set these in here, you'll get an idea. About how little room there is. The issue is when you get the back carburetors close to the carb rubbers, you can see you're about 2 nautical miles away. Right, you're not going to believe this, but this is the way it is. The 2 front carburetors are into the rubbers. The rubbers are on the head, and I've got all the hose clips locked up. The back 2 carbs are just, they're on the edge of the rubbers. The clips are in place, but obviously they're not tight because I have to allow a bit of room to slip in. Both sides are the same. I've got the air intake covered with a dish or a tea towel. I have a block of wood on here and a ratchet strap going down to the frame. It's not colliding with anything of any importance whatever. And around the other side I've got this connected onto the side stand bracket and the ratchet here to try and pull this down that way to get that carburetor to go into that rubber. Now that, I mean, the amount of force that is required to do this, it beggars belief. I've done this before, and I ended up one time in the past standing on top of the carburetors, and I'm 14.5 stone to get those carburetors in. The rubbers, in fairness, the rubbers now are as hard as the road because of their age. Having said that, they're crazy money. I don't know exactly what they're, but there's no way I'm buying 4 carb rubbers for a 34-year-old bike that doesn't get rid of that. That's in. Well, that's that one in. That one isn't quite home the whole way, but I might be able to change the strap over. I'll get that tightened down. I'll tighten the hose clips on this side, and I'll transfer the straps over and go the other way and see if I can draw that corner down a bit. Well, you can probably hear my heart beating because I'm about to try and start this thing. I suppose it would be a good idea if I connected up the petrol first of all, wouldn't it? Get that on. Get that wee clip on. Right, I'm not quite sure what the state of play is with the battery, for I haven't had this bike started for a long time and the battery might well be flat, so I might have to utilise jump leads. Right, petrol on. I'll have to operate the choke down here manually. I'm not sure what to say. It's on 4 cylinders and there's no petrol leaking out of it. So far, so good. I haven't got the throttle connected up or anything, I'm just using it manually. I'll wind the tick over up a wee bit here. Looks like I spoke too soon. Okay, wee bit of an update here. Having discovered that we still had a leak out of the overflow whenever we fitted the carbs to the bike, I took them off again. Disgruntled, I must admit, I was disgruntled. I was fed up and brought them back up to the garage. I hadn't checked the float height properly. I wasn't aware how to do it, and whenever I got back up here this evening, I took all the bowls off, and the float height on all the carbs is too high. It's meant to be 7mm, and the measurement is from this surface of the carburettor here to the top of the float. Now this vernier caliper is set at 7. Now all the carbs were way too high, you know, maybe 13mm, something like that. And I looked, and I'm afraid our Chinese friends have sold us short. The needle and seat is not the same dimension as the standard Japanese one. It's taller, therefore it's moved the height of the float and changed the whole dynamic inside the carburetor. So, working on that assumption, I'm going back. This might sound ridiculous. I have a choice. I can either bend the tangs in the float and set it to 7mm using the Chinese stuff, or go back to the original Honda stuff and just make a few adjustments. This is the Honda kit in now. What you do is the carburetor has to be at 45 degrees so that the float is just touching the needle but not depressing it, which is like that. Now it is slightly more than 7mm, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the float, bend the tang slightly and put it back in again to get it to 7. I definitely was disappointed now, because I haven't done all that work then to put the carbs on and all the effort of getting the carbs on for them to start leaking again. It was a bit of a bummer, but with renewed enthusiasm, I suppose you would call it, I'm going to set these all correctly to 7mm, and then we'll take it from there. I'll keep you informed. Well, I can see how this could be very tedious, because the slightest of adjustment on the tang and the float creates obviously a greater difference in the height of the float. Now, I've done it a couple of times where it 7mm on here, and if I bring this down here, it's just, take my word for that, 7mm. And I've checked both sides of the float as well, so that one's a wrap. That's the first one we've finished. Only 3 more to go. Right, now that we have decided to go back to the Honda stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the seat with a cotton bud on the end of the drill and some Solvol Auto Sol. So this is difficult to do with one hand. Put a drop of Solvol onto the end of that, and then basically you put the, and obviously you don't spin the thing, you spin the drill, but I can't do it with one hand. So I'm going to give us a really good shine up on the inside. Hopefully the seat will then seal properly, and we'll just go back to the way it was. Right, Solvol Auto Sol and a cotton bud up with a wooden stem. Go for double speed. Well, I don't know how much of that you can see. I'm thinking not very much. But where's my torch? I haven't got it. The inside of that has been polished up very well, so I'm pleased enough with that. And I'll get this back in there, I'll check the float height, and I'll do all the rest of them as well. This could be the making or breaking. If I see petrol coming out of this pipe, I might get myself a match. I'm being very quiet because I really don't want to tempt fate. That's the choke off. She's now running on her own steam. No leaks down below. I shouldn't have said that. I really shouldn't have said that. How long can you hold your breath for? Right, I think it's realistically time to start putting the bits and pieces back on again. Right guys, that's it all buttoned up, all back together again, and we'll just give it one more wee touch here. That definitely sounds more like the job, doesn't it? Apologies for not keeping you in the loop with all the bits and pieces. I can't honestly remember what I videoed and what I didn't video, but just in case I didn't video it all. The carburettor's leaked after the fitting of the Chinese gear, and I discovered that the needle and seat valves were different size, and I didn't set the float heights, which I then subsequently looked into, and I refitted the Japanese original Honda needle and seat, set the float heights, rebuilt the carburetors, fired them back on again, and this is the result. Everything seems to be in order. Let's just check that these heated grips are even working. I haven't checked them for ages. Sure is sounding good. That's better. As you can see, the sun has come out, so we might have to go for a test drive.